Everybody, welcome to the Get It Done podcast. I'm your host, Jimi Ryan, and today we welcome a man who inspires thousands. He's the CEO of Mortgage Coach. He's the instinctual businessman that is also a personal friend. His name is Dave Savage. Dave, welcome to the Get It Done podcast.
Good to see you, Jimmy. It's an honor to be here, brother.
Hey, for sure, man. And I'm really excited about our interview today. You know, we were talking a little bit offline about some things we got going on, but I want to jump right into it. So, at this point, you're experienced and you're wise, but we'd like to take you back when you were young and green. How did you first get into the mortgage industry as a whole, and what made you believe that there was a lucrative future there?
Wow. I mean, we could probably do a whole podcast on that. And I think someday there needs to be like a reality show on mortgage stories, because it's not like people, I went to college to be a mortgage professional.
100%.
I was working full-time at Smart and Final, which is like a grocery store for restaurants. And I was getting my degree in finance. And I had gotten to a point where I didn't want to keep doing that job, kind of same thing, different day. I was looking for like a better job while I finished college. And best thing that ever happened to me is I went to a happy hour with a good friend of mine his girlfriend was an escrow officer. Her best friend was a processor, and they worked for this mortgage broker, Mel Samick. And all I know is Mel Samick drove a Mercedes and he bought drinks. And I was like, that dude's rich. And what's he doing? And he was cool. And I cold called him after that happy hour and just said, hey, I think I literally said, I don't know what you do. You don't need to pay me. I just want to work for you and learn what you do. And I didn't know it. I remember the interview. I was nervous. He hired me. I was like, yes. And then my first day of work was, again, I'm dating myself a little bit. This is like 30 years ago. He gave me the yellow pages and he said, hey, open it up to CPAs. And he said, call every CPA and say, hello, my name is Dave Savage. I'm with Excalibur Mortgage. I specialize in working with CPAs and financial planners, helping their clients with their real estate financing needs. Do you ever have clients that ask for your advice about real estate financing? And I did that 100 times a day. And that was my start. And I think I made, I don't know if it was 9,000 or 12,000 a year working at Smart and Final. And I think my third month in the business, I made $10,000. And I was like, I'm in.
Yeah. Wow. So literally nose to the grindstone, making cold calls in a Yellow Pages phone book. I love that. That's just, did you receive any sort of training, or was the guy just like, here's the book, go call?
No, it was, well, he helped me with the script. Now he did use the other big breakthrough for me personally from a personal development is that I'm ADD and dyslexic, and I made it through high school, basically being an athlete, having some charisma. And I think I might've cheated, a few times. And so like learning was hard, but one of the cool things that Mel did is he introduced me to audio books. And so I would show up in his house in the morning and we'd listen to Tom Hopkins, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins. And for the first time in my life, I love learning. I went from learning, no, I don't want to do that, to, oh my God, I can listen and learn. And Mel brought me into the mortgage business, and he also introduced me to audiobooks. And that was my training.
You mentioned being, the ADD and dyslexia, and that's a space I really want to go with you. I think a lot of mortgage professionals, real estate agents, financial planners, insurance, we are all ADD in some way. It's just that AAA personality type, and also the dyslexia piece. My brother has dyslexia, and I don't think he ever really recovered from the label. When you speak to the label, I guess, when were you told you have ADD, you have dyslexia, and how did it affect you?
Well, I don't remember all the times. I mean, I remember young in grade school when I was several grades less than all the other kids, and they were like figuring out what my problem was. And I remember having to go up to the school and take Ritalin, and make sure that I swallowed it. So I think maybe that was fifth grade, and they learned that, I excelled at math, but I did not excel at reading and spelling. and all those things. So yeah, it was grade school, and it sucked. I mean, I had a lot of fun times going through school, so it wasn't one of those kids that didn't like school because I was an athlete and I loved, that part, and I loved friends and all the things outside of school. But yeah, English, didn't love it, never did.
Gosh, same for me. You just probably couldn't sit still with ADD. Do you believe that that it's particularly helpful to here? I got Ritalin too. They didn't watch me swallow it, and I would put it underneath the cup and just like walk
Well,
away.
I was the kid, like, you knew that I was, beg for forgiveness, not ask for permission, and
Right.
just always talking in class. I mean, I was that kid. You needed to watch me swallow it if you were going to actually get me to swallow it, and they knew that.
For sure. And do you think that helped you? And do you think that helps kids nowadays? And it's not Ritalin anymore. I think it's a different drug. But do you think that the label of that is good for kids?
Well, I think any adversity that you overcome is good for you. I mean, overcoming learning disabilities was a gift. It wasn't a gift at the time, but it's become great. My parents moved multiple times. I had parents that, got divorced when I was in fifth grade. And I look back today, and every time I overcame adversity, it's absolutely a superpower that
Wow.
I'm grateful for.
Wow. That's quite the perspective. When did you get this perspective? When did that change in you? Was it literally like, high school? Was it when you were a kid, or was it much later?
No, absolutely not. I mean, because I'm also, bright redheaded kid, super white skin. I mean, those things were hard in school. But I don't know when I started, like, I mean, for a lot of my youth growing up, I'm like, I want to look like everybody else. I wish I didn't have red hair. I wish I had tan skin. So I think it was definitely after high school. Probably I think 25, 27,
Wow.
the time when I met my wife. I got married at 27, and I started really getting a lot of confidence. I was successful at business. I met my dream girl, and convinced her to marry me, and I was feeling pretty badass by 27.
That's awesome. So the confidence just kind of came as a part of your life, and you just, you just kind of became it. And I'm sure it has a lot to do with, getting out of college and just going straight into mortgage.
Well, I did not. To be clear, I did not graduate from college. So, college, I was doing it because that's what you're supposed to do. And I come from, my dad was an MBA, my grandpa was an MBA, and superintendent of a school district. But as soon as I figured out that I could make 10 grand a month and not go to school, I was like, this is my path. I'm good to go.
How far were you into it? How far were you into the financial piece of it? I mean, it was for finance.
Junior year,
Wow.
but I think I like was barely a junior, like I think I can't remember for sure, but I mean, I didn't have good grades, and I wasn't on the fast track to graduating college.
That's so funny. So like 22, 23, you're starting mortgage,
Yeah.
making cold calls. Describe that time in your life. So, yep, I made 10 grand first 3 months. That's amazing. Where'd you go from there? Because look, you don't just you of course don't make cold calls anymore in a phone book. You graduated to quite a different thing. But what was your next steps from there?
Well, I became a pretty successful loan officer, first, like, worked for a mortgage broker, top loan officer at that broker. And then, and I guess if I had something that's helped me is I've just always, wherever I've gotten to one mountain, I'm just like, okay, the next mountain. And so I worked for Mel. I think it was 3 years. I'd have to check my LinkedIn profile to see when I left Mel. And I went to my next mentor, which was Ernie Hixson. And he was just this bigger than life ivory tower office. He did commercial loans. And I
Wow.
came to learn commercial while bringing residential to him. So I kind of built, I actually got a VP title, and was VP of TMH Financial, built their mortgage single family residential part while learning commercial. And then I think 2-3 years later, I'm like, oh, I got to do my own thing. And I started the mortgage store and Mortgage Link, and became a broker myself. And then, at one time had 100 loan officers and had built a pretty nice little mortgage company and And the Savage team, I think at the peak of our career, our best year was like 300 loans. So that
Wow.
was fun. It was just kind of one mountain after another.
So after you got to that mountain, did you what happened? What happened to the mortgage store, the Savage team? What'd you do with it?
Well, I found Mortgage Coach. So I think I founded Mortgage Coach in the late 90s. But that was my superpower as a mortgage professional. One, that I would get business from CPAs at financial planners at scale. And
Mhm.
that's what got me on the stage at Sales Mastery, is that everybody that was on that stage was either getting referrals from builders or realtors. And I was the guy that got business from CPAs and financial planners. And thank you, Mel Samick. And
Yeah.
then, and then the first year I spoke and I told my story, it was on a panel, and Todd Duncan, I guess it was well received. And Todd says, "Hey, next year, Dave, why don't you come back and I'll give you more time and really tell about what you do." And that was when I founded Mortgage Coach, because part of my secret sauce was I would walk into a CPA or financial planner. Back in those days, there was a sports page and a lot of mortgage ads on it. And I would go to the CPA and financial planner and say, "Hey, do you want your clients finding their mortgage here on the sports page and getting this?" And I'd put down a fee worksheet. "Or do you want your your families that you help with their tax needs and you help with their financial planning needs, do you want them to get this?" And it was a total cost analysis, loan options, cost over time, strategies to pay off their home faster. Anyways, I told my story that next year at Sales Mastery, and it'd be a longer story on how I got Greg Wexler, my co-founder of Mortgage Coach, to create Mortgage Coach. But I told my story from stage, and 100 and I don't know if it was 109 or 117, but over 100 people walked to the back of the stage and they bought Mortgage Coach for $995. And that was where I became a technology entrepreneur. I'm like, and that's what happened to the mortgage business. I was like, whoa, I
Wow.
loved the process of creating Mortgage Coach. I loved having 100 plus people sign up for Mortgage Coach in a day. And I'm like, I want to do more of that. I like that.
Wow. And that's 995. I'm doing the math. I mean, you're making over $100,000 in the late 90s. It's a lot of money. And you literally just started this company. Going back for a second, you talked about you found your co-founder. I'm sure he's the technological piece, building the computer piece in the background. Is that accurate?
Well, first of all, yeah, him and I are opposites. So he does not have ADD or
Yeah.
dyslexia. He graduated in computer science at USC, went to work for Xerox, worked at Park at Xerox. So he's a technology genius, and he was the technology genius behind the scenes guy, and I was the guy. But by the way, that was a longer story. But the way I got him to create Mortgage Coach was when I first said, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. Can you create something?" He's like, "Yeah, I can do that for 20 grand." And I'm like, "Okay, 20 grand, let's do it." And then I got it. And I was like, no one's going to use this but me. And I really wanted something that
Hmm.
C player loan officers would use to
Right.
create this TCA. And he's like, "Well, that's going to be 100 grand. And I was like, so when I really founded Mortgage Coach, I didn't start it to be a tech entrepreneur. I, I told Greg, "Hey, Greg, instead of me cutting you a check for 100 grand, how about we'll turn this into a product? I know the industry will dig it. I'm speaking at Sales Mastery, and I don't know if it was 6 months or 9 months, but I'm speaking at this event, and I don't know how many will sell at the event, but I promise you, I'll get you $100,000. Either I'll cut the check myself, or we'll get it selling Mortgage Coach." And fortunately, in day one, I kept my promise to Greg.
That's really, I mean, that's really incredible. And I want to go back to when you would talk to a financial planner or a CPA. So you didn't have Mortgage Coach in the I mean, my goodness, it's HTML5 now. It used to be I mean, there's so many
The
versions.
first version of Mortgage Coach was in Access, but the first version of Mortgage Coach was in Excel.
Well, that's
So
right.
yeah,
Did you have like an Excel spreadsheet that you just
yeah,
popped up
yeah.
and you were
So
just
V1, I actually think Greg helped me build the Excel spreadsheet, because him and I, again, longer story how we became partners. So, but V1 Mortgage Coach was an Excel spreadsheet. V2 was in Access. And then I think we created 2 more versions before the platform it is today. So the actual technology platform Mortgage Coach over 20 years has been reinvented at least 4 times and maybe 5 times.
Wow, and I mean that's just incredible. I mean, and to pivot off of the the personality differences, this guy can sit still in front of a computer for a minute, whereas you're just I want to go out and talk to people. What a great what a great partner to have. Speaking about the industry as a whole, you're always so excited about it. You really do bring a lot of passion to it. Like here, when you show options to people, I could imagine you have a smile written all over your face. How do you spread that excitement and really just make the mortgage industry fun for others?
Well, I mean, 2 things that I love and that I, have tremendous passion for. I love people and I love relationships. So, I have a true curiosity for everybody and just love masterminding. I mean, that's how I became so, as successful as I was, and everything that I've ever done was masterminding with people. And I've always loved what happens on stages at events. But what I love more than what happens on stages event is at the dinner, at pool, talking in the hallway. So masterminding has always been important to my success and important to my joy in life. I get fuel from relationships and connecting with people. And then Mortgage Coach, coming out of the meltdown, when I created Mortgage Coach, it was all about loan conversion. I wanted to differentiate and convert and get a borrower. And people don't know this, but the name of Mortgage Coach is not Mortgage Coach. The actual company name of Mortgage Coach is Wow Tools. So Mortgage Coach is a DBA of Wow Tools. And so when I founded Mortgage Coach, it was like a wow tool. Like, how can I get a family, ask them 3 questions, and get them to go, wow, I never thought of my mortgage like that. But coming out of the meltdown, so like version 1 of Mortgage Coach was a wow tool to create conversion. But coming out of the meltdown, I fell in love with this thought that, Mortgage Coach and my business legacy could be we changed how people get into debt in America. And instead of rate, payment, cash to close, transactionally buying money to buy homes, we could say, that rate, payment, cash to close, cost over time, and how to pay off my home faster and retire faster. Like, we could be the company that's, the most respected brand in mortgage, the most valuable brand in mortgage, and change how people get into debt. And so I don't know what year I believe that. Probably 2011. I actually believe that Mortgage Coach could be that vehicle. And so that's why I'm happy, because I wake up fired up about that mission that we are going to accomplish and that we are accomplishing. And I get to mastermind my way to it. So, I mean, I'm, my work life, people I work a lot, but I mean, I'm just having fun.
I mean, it comes from a position of just pure passion. I mean, you love what you do. It just oozes out of you. It's just like, this is you. You're
I'm having a blast.
Right. And look, I didn't know you before I was a Mortgage Coach user. I just looked it up. I did 882 TCAs. I'm not the grandmaster yet, but I got the black belt, and I can certainly attest to that. For those of you who don't know what a total cost analysis is, it's where you put together options and put them side by side, where you can see, like, this is your payment at this rate, this is your payment at that rate, and what your cash to close is. And then it allows you to actually advise people where you can calculate break-even points and figure out, hey, does paying points actually pay off for you? You're going to be out of this house in 5 years. The break-even point's 10. Is that smart? And lots more to do it. Just that. I'm really summarizing quite a great program. Do you find that that other people, I guess here, why would somebody not use it? I guess what would be to the person that would be reserved about, like, look, I have my own Excel spreadsheet. Why does, in your words, Dave, why is Mortgage Coach so much different than an Excel spreadsheet?
Well, the objections we hear in the marketplace, whether it's someone signing up and becoming a member of Mortgage Coach, which, by the way, guys, you could go to our YouTube channel, and like the introductory video is a nice little 2-minute commercial on Mortgage Coach. Check it out. But it's either I don't have time. So, loan officers, let's face it, they are really busy. And what I have found is that whether a loan officer is closing 3 loans a month or 30 loans a month, they're really busy,
Right.
So now the ones that are closing 3 loans a month, by the way, Jimmy, did you freeze up just now?
No, I didn't. I just turned off this heater. It was getting hot in here. I don't want my
No worries. I just
I-
wanted to make sure we didn't have a tech issue.
no
So,
problem.
so people just saying, "Hey, I'm too busy. I'm really busy." That's an objection and an issue we hear all the time. And then some people will say, "Oh, that's too much information." And again, what a loan officer needs to believe: see the fee worksheet, see mortgage coach, and I always find that good is the absolute biggest enemy to great. In a total cost analysis, it is the best presentation a loan officer could give to a family who's trying to make mortgage decisions. But remember, good's the enemy of great. And so people are just like, "Oh, I'm too busy and that's too much information, so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing." So those are the primary objections. And then again, just change. No matter what someone is doing, a human being, especially adult human beings, it's hard to get them to change and shift what they're doing and how they're doing it. Those are our big challenges.
A- Absolutely. And, here, I've trained my team to do that. Like they prepare them and put them together. The time excuse is just so weak, especially once you see people actually, if you see the reaction of a client when you actually teach them how this all works, and then they actually choose the opposite rate, cost, whatever option that they immediately, went to, is you. All of a sudden, you're an advisor. You're leading with value. You're not just rate, cost, fee. You're actually advising them, and I would argue that's the biggest sell point to it. I can't endorse Mortgage Coach enough. If you're a mortgage professional, you really do need to have this type of presentation. And if you don't, and someone else does, who are they going to go with? That's the best way to say it. I want to pivot off of.
Hey, Jimmy,
Go ahead.
real quick. By the way, just because you are frozen on my screen, so you might want to turn your video on and off. So
Oh, no.
you're in the same place and not moving from a video perspective.
How about? Of course, we have tech issues while we're recording, but that's all right. We're gonna.
Yeah, no problem.
With this, we just we roll with it.
Oh, there you go. You're back. You're back. I just want to let you know it started about 2 minutes ago. So you're good. I don't know whether that matters to you, but I just wanted to call it out. And obviously we can edit this part out.
So actually, we could edit it out, but however, I actually really like that we would leave it in because KJ and I are really big about not editing, and we do this because, we want to.
I just wanted to make sure I called it out for you.
Thanks, brother. And actually, I didn't know, so thanks for telling me. So I want to also mention here, we're going to put the YouTube, the intro that you just mentioned. We're going to put that in the comments. And I want to pivot to another part of your story. Is I've listened to a lot of the videos that you put out. You put out a new video, my goodness, every day. And
couple of weeks, 3 a week.
Well, hey man, if somebody wanted to watch
sometimes, no, you're right. Sometimes they hit daily.
You're always leading with value. You're always interviewing all the top producers in the industry, and it's a great thing to see. I personally, I've learned a lot. I've copied a lot from a lot of people. I don't want to. My goodness, I could name a lot of names. I will in a minute. But before we go there, I want to talk about.
If I've ever done anything to inspire you, I mean, it's an honor, bro. So thank you.
If it helps one person, it was worth it. That's the way that exactly. I like to go with it. Jeremy Forcier. Gosh, I love that guy. I know he's one of your bros. He's he's with he's gone to Amplify a lot, and that's how we relate. But that guy's just pure fire. And look, he's a huge user of your system too. And both of you subscribe to this what I'm trying to get into, which is your morning routine. Being the type of person that you are a high achiever. You're doing a lot of things. What does the first few hours of your day look like? Walk us through, step by step. What are your daily disciplines?
Well, being ADD makes it hard for me to, be Mr. Consistent. I mean, there are some super consistent things I do. And if you were to look at my laptop right now, I actually have L rods, silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, read, and scribe. So, and yeah, Miracle
Right.
Morning. And
Write your book.
I've interviewed, yeah, I've interviewed Hal many a times. And my OG interview with Hal, which was before he spoke on the Sales Mastery stage for the first time. I mean, it was just jaw dropping. I mean, just the story, the adversity he's overcome, and the brilliance of it. So I try to get as many scribes in as I can, or I guess he calls them savers. I try to get as many of the savers in every morning. I'm pretty consistent. It's like meditation and silence is my medication. So I don't take any medication for my ADD, but I start my morning with some silence, and I've got a little area in my, when I'm feeling like I'm just too jittery, uh jump into some meditation is important to me. I'm big on affirmations. I don't think there's ever a morning that goes by that I don't either scroll through. Like I have an iPhone, and I have countless um affirmations that I go through. Uh, Sarah Middleton, who's a good friend of mine, one of the leaders of your company, she's always posting things. I follow Sarah, and just the people that I look at on social media. I do break the rules, like you're not supposed to email or go on social media first thing. I do, so like I do. Although I don't get into any news, I don't go down rabbit holes that take me off a state of grace. Like I want to start my morning with pure grace. Visualization, I do it every morning in different ways. I read something, I write something. I mean, I've got over 8,000 notes in Evernote. So this year I'm doing more writing, but I mean, I literally took a decade off of writing and did everything on Evernotes and took notes. This year I'm trying to write more and document more. And then the last thing I'll say on it, because I create a lot of content, and there's obviously the mortgage coach mission. The more I can interview a different loan officer with a different company in a different geographic market with a unique personality, there's a business purpose. I'm recruiting loan officers into the mortgage coach, and I'm inspiring loan officers to think differently and do things our way. But it's also become not coping, but it's like I've tried to discipline myself so that I spend half my time consuming content, reading, and I spend half my time creating. But when I say time, I'm talking about the 2 to 3 hours a day that I used to read, consume, and I've broken that up. So it's consume and create. I try to do that 50-50 a day, and that's why I do that. And so I try to get that done by noon. I'm a big Todd Bookspan Win by Noon guy. So it's just always been important to me that literally I've crushed my competition and I've won by noon every day. Whether I was a loan officer back in the day, for any loan officer listening to this, I think I learned this from Dale Vermillion, but it's like stack. And when I was loan officer, I used to do this: stack my leads in priority of most closable and coolest people. So whether the person was closable or not, if they were an energy suck, they were going to go low on the list or off the list. And then I would just wake up, do what I got to do. And then actually it was by 11. By 11, I've got 2 apps. I've called the coolest people. And by the time I get to the uncool people and the big problems, I'm so fired up that I just steamroll through that stuff.
Right. I really love that 50-50 consume and create. I think that's just a great discipline to have, because a lot of people will, read the book Miracle Morning and they struggle they try to do it all. And I'm similar to you. I'm the worst part. I think our worst trait as being ADD is that we're not consistent. That's just pure and simple. That's the hardest thing for anybody. But I love how you say, like, look, but I am very consistent about silence and meditation. Those are very important to you. And I would argue that's the easy stuff. I think it starts there. The affirmations and visualizations. What do you have a particular affirmation that you say every day and you have for a long time?
So I went to an event that was sponsored by Lenders One, and the founder of a company called Hello World was a keynote speaker. And go check it out, guys. They basically write on people's body like, what's your message to the world? And and I didn't know, like, if you would have asked me this question before that, I don't know what I would have said. I probably would have quoted someone else's quote, but the keynote, the inspiration, it got me like, hey, what's my superpower and what's my message to the world? And it's always grateful, always curious. And so that's it. Like I just tell myself, no matter what happens to me, I'm always going to be grateful. I'm always going to be curious. And then I did adopt another kind of play off that. And I actually wrote a LinkedIn post on it a while ago. Longer story. I think I saved it in my favorites. But the other thing, my son is an athlete, and I coached him through grade school, but then, in high school and beyond, it was beyond my level of coaching. And I was trying to think, I met with a guy who's probably the greatest athlete at my son's position. His name is Brendan Fowler. And he went to Duke, got a couple championship rings, was a VIP of one of those champions. And I said, Brendan, we were having dinner. And I said, what should I say to what advice should I give Jack before games? I don't want to be that helicopter dad. What advice should I give him? And he said, the only thing he needs to hear is have fun and play loose. And I was like, oh my God, like, brilliant, have fun, play loose. So like, I think that was like 8th grade year that I got that advice. And so going forward, like, that's the only advice I'd give my son, but that's advice I give myself. Like, every time I'm either feeling stressed, I'm going on a stage, I just go, have fun, play loose, let's go. And so those were my two kind of like self-talk mantras that keep me on track.
That's great. I really love that. I feel like I have to adopt those. Those are just that's just pure fire. Have fun, play loose. Look, we all get so serious, and then you get you choked up. You don't become yourself. I really love that.
Or we put too much pressure on other people. I mean, I try to, like, I say that to my team. I mean, like, guys, let's just have fun and play loose. Like, we are prepared for this moment. Like, there's training that we got to do to be the best. And for any loan officer that's giving fee worksheets, you got to train to do better than that. Especially by 2025, the mortgage and real estate industry will be unrecognizable. And if you're a realtor or a mortgage professional and you have not trained to deliver more than a transaction, well, you're not going to be able to have fun and play loose. But if you've done the training and you do the training constantly, like, that's all we need to think before we go into the arena is just have fun, play loose. We're prepared.
You mentioned the year 2025, and that's actually a space I want to go. What do you think, over the next 5 years, what's one hard skill you think that's going to be in demand? And what's a soft skill that you think is going to be really high in demand?
Well, I'm thinking about this a lot because I've got an event coming up on the 21st of April. It's called the Modern Real Estate Summit. And I did an event last year called the Modern Real Estate Summit. And so I put a lot of thought into where are we today and what is that year? And again, I don't want to act like I'm a futurist with a crystal ball and it is 2025. It might be 2027. But guys, a reckoning is coming where what can be automated will be automated. All the systems will talk to each other. So every loan officer I know doesn't like how many logins they have. Like, oh, I got to log into this, I got to log into that, I got to, mortgage coach, HomeBot, CRM, LOS. You have all these logins. Well, guys, not only are they going to get single sign-in for you, but it's also going to be a better experience for the consumer. And so everything is getting automated. And so the soft skill, if you're a referral-based local realtor or mortgage professional, it's loving people. I mean, it's curiosity, it's love, it's connection. And if you can do that really well from a soft skill standpoint, like one of the things I learned at Amplify, like, if you want someone to like you, don't work on trying to get them to like you, work on trying to like them. That was like, I loved that. And so, the soft skill is just learning to love other people. And if you do that, you're going to have the soft skills to thrive today and tomorrow. And then the hard skills are, you need to learn to use technology in the most appropriate way possible. So, I mean, it wasn't long ago that the idea of giving a family a link and them filling out their own loan app, I mean, 2 years ago, that was not the norm. Today, that's the norm, but some loan officers got there faster than
Right.
others, and by the way, there's still loan officers that aren't there. They aren't like giving that link at the right time. And then mortgage coach, give a link to give advice, like learning to use links at the right time in the right way to give advice is the hard skill, and the soft skill is loving people.
I really love that. Particularly the hard piece, the hard skill is, I'm an early adopter to this, but I'm the young blood, coming into it. I think that the old school is having the hardest time with, people actually right now, especially, they don't want to talk to you on the phone and fill out an application. They don't want to come into the office and just write it all out. They'd rather do it at 8:30 at night and just put it on their phone and just submit. I really love that. And then just loving people. I love that too, because, we met each other at Amplify, and, you're a great speaker. I think that you can absolutely check that off of your list. But that being said, if someone is looking to improve their speaking skills, where should they start? Do you have a tip for them?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't see myself as a great speaker. I mean, I am willing to put myself on a stage. I think when I'm on stage, I say and ah a lot less now than I did. But I've always just considered myself as, what, I'm just me, and I'm the best, most authentic me every time I get on a stage. And if you like what I stand for, then maybe I'm a good speaker. But I mean, amplify. Follow Rene Rodriguez. He is the speaker's coach, and I want people to reframe what speaking is. Speaking, a lot of people think of it as, it's stepping on a stage, talking to a big audience, and being a actor or celebrity. No, speaking is about influence. Speaking is about helping people, and so to me, amplify is without question the best training. And even following Renee on social media, I get a lot of value from it. But that's been the most valuable thing, is just following Renee, being friends with Renee. And then I've been through Amplify 5 times. So I think that's the other thing I like about that event is I like going to conferences and getting content and taking notes and implementing some of that. But you know what I love more? Training. I love that it's a 2-day event in person, and then it's a several-day event virtually. But I love the fact that it's training. It's like you're getting up, you're putting yourself out there, and then you're getting critiqued, and you're training. Like, there's a difference between consuming content and training to be better. And anyways, that's what I like. That's what I would do.
I love it. To kind of go deeper with it, I've interviewed the #1 real estate agent in all of Wisconsin, Justin Hoffman. He's been that for about 13 years. And he says it like this, and this is something that really I've always remembered, is that, people have become information squirrels, where they just, all this information, you go to this mastermind event, you write down 10,000 things, you implement nothing. And he says this is a beautiful quote: information without action is a form of entertainment. You watch TV, watch Star Wars, get your lightsaber out, do something fun like that if you're going to watch it. But if you're not going to take any action with it, why would you even do it? And I just love that. Speaking of Renee, so Renee talks about letting your heart speak. I would argue that's the most authentic you. What is the process of actually doing that? How do you actually bring that out?
Wow, I think that's a better question for Renee. But I will give you my answer. And I think it starts with vulnerability. It starts with being vulnerable. That's another thing I learned at his event. When I told my story earlier, hey, I'm ADD, I'm dyslexic. I used to have to go to the front of the class and take a pill. When I didn't know that was part of my story. And when I went to Amplify, and when I and Renee pushed me, like I went there to learn how to tell the mortgage coach story better. And I got on stage all ready to tell the mortgage coach story. And like within 2 minutes, he's like, Dave, don't say the word mortgage coach once. Don't talk about mortgage coach. I want to know about you. Like he took me back, and then and I think he had to do it like 3 times. No, I want you to go back. I want you to go back. And then all of a sudden I'm on stage in front of 12 people. And I started having that picture of that little 3rd grade kid going up to the front of school, and I cried. Like I literally, like I started telling my story, and I started like literally kind of lost it in front of 12. They weren't strangers. They were people that I knew, but it was pretty humbling. And I just think, my answer to that is, to be vulnerable and to get yourself in places like that. That's how I've kind of worked on it myself.
I really love that. And Renee has a very unique way of doing it. I love that he said that to you too, because he said the same thing to me. Hey, Jimmy, everybody does that. What you said is not unique. Like sit down, basically. Like hey, try again, and then you're like, wow, never had any, I thought I was good, and I'm sure you did too, and then it's just like, wow. And then you actually get to your real authentic self. That's just a beautiful thing. All right. I want to be super respectful of your time, Dave. And there's a couple questions that I ask everybody that comes on, and I want to get right to them. So first is, do you feel like you ever had a big break?
Yeah. Well, I mean, two big breaks professionally. One was, being on the Sales Mastery stage and being able to tell my story. And, that was a big break to being an influencer and the founding mortgage coach. And then at Smart Reply, I think it was 2005, we were one of 3 companies that became, we won a mobile marketing award. And prior to 2005, every company was from Asia or Europe. And the 3 companies in 2005 were Smart Reply, Procter and Gamble, and Verizon. And,
Wow.
and that company went from like losing money, struggling, to an $18 million company, like boom. And so those are like 2 big breaks that I've had.
That's awesome. Wow. Absolutely. Those are definitely big breaks. Absolutely. I knew you were going to say Todd Duncan. What an incredible guy, and what a great guy to bring you back on stage and really bring out your, to show your unique value to the industry. And look,
and thank you, Todd. I always want to give Todd the shout out. I've been to every Sales Mastery and however many years they've been going on. And yeah, I will always be grateful to Todd, the stage, and the community, the mastermind that takes place. So yeah.
Yeah, Todd Duncan's Sales Mastery is a do not miss 100%. I can absolutely endorse that. If you were to do it all over again, Dave, what would you change?
Well, it's funny. I wrote a blog or a LinkedIn post on this recently, and I do think just being confident, like I said, being grown up with red hair, super white skin, kind of made fun of as a kid, having those struggles. I wish I could have found my confidence. You know what? I'm a genius at something. I'm special. I wish, like, and it's still something that we always have to work on. But I mean, man, if we go back and do high school again with the self-confidence that I have, and confidence is just such a powerful force. And I wish I could have. And by the way, I have no regrets. Like, maybe I wouldn't have the confidence if I would have started off. I'd be a cocky. I wouldn't be humble and hungry the way I am now. So I don't truly wish it was any different, but I just feel like that was something that I wish I could have had a little younger, or at least I feel like I wish I would have had it.
Absolutely. That's fire. Dave, was there ever a time you thought about giving up?
No, I don't give up. I mean, that's, like my kids, we're savages, man. No one will outwork us, and we don't give up. So period. So no, I've actually never thought of giving up. I really don't think I'm BSing you on that. Like we don't give up.
It's really incredible, the answers to this question that I get. I really love it. It's a formative. Listen, absolutely not even a chance. And a formative, like, yeah, it always happens, to me, or whatever. But I love that, because you just don't allow even your mind to go there. I think that that's a mental discipline and I think that it comes from you're giving affirmations every day. You're visualizing. You're meditating. You're actually letting this stuff out of your head. Um, would you point to that for that mentality? Or you think it's just God given? It's just like something that just like literally you're born with.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really think it's a good question. Whether people, it's in their genes, and I do think my optimism, my never give up mentality. You know, I was predisposed from a genes perspective to do it, but I do think it's a muscle that we grow. Just like leadership, I do believe that there are people that are kind of like natural leaders, but I think anybody can be a great leader. I think anybody can have a high emotional IQ. I think anybody can be that. It's like, what do you train? What's the, that was one of the, I take this back. Another big breakthrough for me was when Mel turned me on to Tony Robbins, and I went to the Tony Robbins like 3-day event. Couldn't afford it, put it on a
Right.
credit card, but I walked on fire. I learned about neurolinguistics. I learned about self-talk, and I learned that, you know what, man, I get to control what conversation I have with myself, what the words I use in my own head. So, and I don't know that everybody gets that. Like, I don't know that everybody understands the power of self-talk, and also the personal belief that I get to own that story. I get to own those words. And I don't think everybody knows that. By the way, I think we should teach kids that in school at a young level, like teach them power of self-talk and fiscal literacy. That, I guess those are two other things I wish I would have learned a lot younger. That, what, things don't just happen. We get to
Right.
control what happens. And I wish I would have known that sooner.
We as a culture certainly struggle with that. I wholeheartedly agree. All right, the last question here to set it up. Dave, there is a person out there that maybe they have ADD and maybe they're struggling with it. Maybe they haven't come to that point where they're 24 or 25 or 27, whatever it is, where they have realized that this is a good thing. Maybe they're struggling with dyslexia. Maybe they just aren't really engaged. Maybe they're a loan officer and they are putting this together in a spreadsheet. Maybe they're just like really struggling. And they're looking up to people like you, and man, how do I do it? How do I get to Dave Savage's level? What advice would you give to someone looking to get it done?
Well, first of all, it doesn't happen overnight. It's like you got to just, one, never give up. If there was one book that I would give people, whether they have ADD, dyslexia, or just any human being, it is the Four Agreements. It's don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions. Uh, Always do your best. And what's the other four? Have you read the Four Agreements?
I haven't. No,
Oh my God.
I was hoping you weren't going to ask me.
Yeah. Don't take it personally. Don't use your words against yourself. And when they say words against yourself, it gets to that point where your self-talk is, you use it against yourself. And then you talk out loud and use it against yourself. So read the Four Agreements, listen to the audiobook, listen to it yearly, and believe those four, come to believe in those Four Agreements, and you'll get over it, man. I think if every human being, whether they're suffering from ADD, dyslexia, whether you just want to go to the next level, it's a really good playbook that I've listened to with my kids. I listen to it at least once a year since the first time I listened to it. It'll help you.
You always be grateful, always be curious, have fun, play loose.
Boom.
I love it. All right. I really want to thank Dave for joining us today. This has just been an epic podcast. I really love this. And I really want to thank all the audience for joining us today. And Dave, if anybody's looking to connect, and I know you have you have on the 21st of April, a big event coming up. I want you to talk about that. But before you do, if you want people to connect with you, how would you like them to do so?
Well, if you're a loan officer, I would love for you to follow our YouTube channel, Mortgage Coach on YouTube. I'd love to have you active in our Facebook group, Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind. It's free. Would love to have you as a black belt mortgage advisor. Go to mortgagecoach.com, sign up, get a demo. I'm pretty active on all social media because it's a great way to mastermind at scale in a digital world. We are Todd Bookspan and Win by Noon are doing it's their event. It's called the Modern Real Estate Summit. I am an MC of the event, a co-host of the event, and I'm gonna, I've helped do that, but I think it's going to be an incredible event. Check it out, modernrealestatesummit.com. Sign up, check it out. But those would be some places to follow me and some places to know what we're doing. And then we're playing on Clubhouse right now. So Mortgage Coach is doing a morning at 8:30 in the morning Pacific and 3 Pacific. We're hosting a 1 hour chat, and I'm kind of figuring out Clubhouse, but that's another platform that we're having fun with right now.
That's cool. Yeah, it's the newest, latest, and greatest thing. And just really quick on the summit. So I know a lot of people that attended the last one that you had. You had just shy of 10,000 people, register for this. The unique piece to it is that everybody comes to it. And look, these isn't just mortgage people. This is real estate agents, and this gives a lot of value to anybody in mortgage, real estate, financial planning, CPA, that type of realm. What is the unique piece is that, look, people kind of bring their own value to it. There's no real script where people come and talk about what they want to talk about. Speak to that a little bit, because I would argue that's the most unique piece of this. And why do you do that? Why do you think that makes it so special?
Yeah. So, well, there's 2 things that I think make it special. I mean, I think every big event has big, successful people on stage. So that's not unique. I think still a lot of the content is 45 minutes and 1 hour presentations. And again, I'm ADD. So most of the presentations are 5 minutes or less. So I don't know if I did that just to entertain myself, but I think we live in an ADD world. So I think it's unique that you have ballers creating micro content. There are 6 18-minute keynotes, but I think that's unique. And then speaking to your point, when I've asked people to speak at an event, like when I asked Shayla Gifford to be one of the keynotes at the Modern Mortgage event, I'm like, Shayla, I don't want you to do a presentation just like I'm doing a favor for Dave and Mortgage Coach. And I go, Shayla, I want you to do a presentation that you want to do, for the team that you serve, for the people that you love, and for how you want to represent yourself in the mortgage space. And I do that with every speaker. Like, what do you want to talk about? What are you passionate about? And now, why do I do that selfishly? Because I know if they do that, they're going to work harder to make that presentation great. And I do think it adds value, but that is unique. I think a lot of events where whoever is putting it together, they either like, hey, these are the topics I want to cover, and they go pick people for those topics, or I know you could talk about these 5 things, but I want you to talk about this one thing. No, I want everybody like, what do you want to talk about at this event, on this venue? And so pick the people and then let the people pick the topics. I think that's unique.
I 100% agree. And look, that's how people are actually, it's like letting your heart speak truly. You're not speaking from a position of impressing. You're speaking from a position of what you're truly passionate about and what your actual heart feels. It's authentic, it's real, it's genuine. And I would argue that's the best type of, experience that you'd want to get. All right, beautiful, brother. I want to again thank everybody for joining us. Again, thank you, Dave. If you like what you've heard today and you want to support the show, tell a friend, write us a 5-star review, hit that subscribe button. All those things help us get our reach out. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Once again, I'm Jimi Ryan. This has been the Get It Done podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks, Dave.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.